So I have 3 orders. One is coming in to me from middle school next year. I got a 10th grader, and I got a senior who's graduating. Bullying has always been a problem. Middle school, 6th and 7th grade, Maplewood Middle School, my daughter was bullied. So I took her out for 8th grade, for the middle school, had to get other stuff there. Now last Monday, my daughter was jumped. How do you justify suspending my daughter for defending herself? That's what I want to know. How do you justify that, as well as how do you justify children that we have videos of and was going into the police department, detectives, and they're back in school today for my speech rights? That it makes no sense. It's bullying. You get the wrong answer. In the meantime, your child continues to be bullied, and it continues throughout the trickle down to high school. That all needs to be revoked. But I would suggest stop mediation between the kids in middle school. It doesn't work. They'll smile on your face, yes sir, no sir, okay. That's right. What about the 3-strike rule? 1st strike, mediation. 2nd strike, parent conference. 3rd strike, suspension. Maybe they'll learn their lesson then.
Thank you.
Oliver Calabata, 7th grade student, and Anselm, a freshman at the high school. See what we understand is about student violence and the acts and why it's here. 2 quick points. Last year, Anselm's 8th grade student walked around a full day of school wearing an NWA t-shirt, a police officer, and a crosshairs. I don't know how that's tolerated in the school district, but it's supposed to not tolerate violence. To me, that's an act of violence. Number 2, and I might be wrong on this, but this year I believe there was a moment of silence for Michael Brown and Ferguson. I don't understand why that happens. When a criminal commits an act, assaults a police officer, why the district has a moment of silence.
Thank you, sir. Next up.
Hi, my name is Adriana Turner. I have been in the district for 8 years now, 9 years. Of those 9 years, I've been on the PTA boards in Marshall and Jefferson for 8 years, and I look forward to being on the HSA at Columbia next year. This morning I spent some time on the phone with a Assembly woman out of JC in her office, who was very concerned about this issue, and as you know, she's one of the major proponents against gun violence in the state. She's one of the leading voices, and I know that she's very interested in working as a district. What I would ask this evening, both of Mr. Eastman and of Mayor Luga specifically to, is I'd like a point person that we can speak to. We have a long summer ahead of us, and we have some things that need to be addressed. We'd really like as a community one person that we can talk to and give us some updates. For example, one thing that I know has been on the President's Council's mind in years past and has not been addressed, and I know that there are lots of issues about, what we do as a community to talk about these issues, but there are physical issues we have not yet taken care of. For example, each of our schools, I believe every single one of them, has some issues with the entryway, which is just a very simple thing that everybody who talks about school safety says is just standard. Every visitor who comes to a school has to walk through an office area. And in middle school, they can walk upstairs, they can walk downstairs, and I know there's a video camera, but there really isn't a level of security. So I would like one person to be in charge of issues like this, in particular, concrete issues for legal time, but really actual physical issues that ensure children's safety. And I hope that you can find somebody and get back to the community on that, somebody that we can all talk to next year and beyond.
Appreciated the wide-ranging list of topics you raised, starting with legislative action and also the policy action. I'll take accountability as president of the board to the extent your comments and your meeting with Assemblywoman JC relates to, for instance, proposals for district policy. We have a policy committee. We have a Finance, Facilities, and Technology Committee. We have a school security officer. So, we've got a big system and a complicated system. I get the desire for a single person in a response, and I'm sure Mayor DeLuca would have his own sort of sense as to how this goes. What you raise are important questions. All of them call for a further response.
We're looking for a director of Homeland Security for
Thank you very much. Okay.
Hello, my name is Amy Heyman. I have a 7th grader at Maplewood Middle School, and I have a 2nd grader at Tustin. My first question regards, I know there are mentions of security and, protecting the individual, but hopefully this doesn't breach anything. But regarding the perpetrator of the student holding the gun, will he be allowed back at Columbia High School? Because I know you said he was, detained for a year. And what reassurance do we have if he is allowed back at Columbia in a year that he's a changed individual? I have a question actually who, deals with anxiety as it is, and he's pretty scared. He dealt with the scare 2 days in a row, actually, because we attended a class at Columbia, and, I think it was about 20 minutes before it happened at Columbia, so 2 days in a row, we, was privy to what was going on. So that's my first question. My second issue is that I hear, I don't hear much from him previously, but I hear from him in a couple of his rounds that, and it's consistent with what you're saying, that there are, 4% or 10 individuals that, have issues. They're troubled, they're disruptive, and I hear that they're part of the community, which on one hand, could be a good thing, but on the other hand, how do we control them? My son said one of them, I'm sure, he did not, commit this crime, he's still in the school, but just the sheer fact that, class is going on, and he's totally disrupting the class, a teacher leaves class, eat all over the floor, the 1 second things. So, right, 2 issues.
Two big questions.
You're going to be allowed back to Columbia? Answer your question, please.
The student is a 7th grader, correct?
Eighth grade.
Okay.
No, they're talking about the one that...
Oh, the high school student?
Yeah.
The high school student is not returning to Columbia High School. And
No, the middle school student is out as well.
okay. Nor is the middle school student.
Rehabilitated. Will he be allowed back into the district after a year? Would you like that question answered, please?
I can't answer that right now.
I don't know if anybody has an answer to that question. I do know that when
I can't answer that question in
I'm
public
going to try
regards to
to make a comment on that. I'm a board member, and the bottom line is for students like this who have these issues are turned over to the juvenile system. We know what happens to those children, and they need therapy, rehabilitation. We need to be cognizant of what we're doing to put things in place to make sure that things like this don't happen. They're happening all over America, and we're no different than anybody else. But I would think that this young man or young woman, whatever it is, whatever the student was, get the help that they need. And we can rest assured that we're going to be very, very careful about the things that we do in terms of putting people in jeopardy. I don't know who would be the person to answer the question in terms of will the child come back. I think people want to know the answer to that. I don't know who here has that authority. The superintendent of schools.
the authority but not the ability to engage in a private conversation. It's not.
I hesitate to say anything because it's a private issue, and I'm not going to compromise that.
So I
Right.
can speak to,
Back to you, Ms. Aaron.
I certainly cannot violate the privacy of any student enrolled in the South Orange Maplewood School District. I can say as Columbia High School principal, I certainly would make decisions regarding the entrance of any and all of my students based on their ability to be safe and well in my building, as well as the impact that they could have on the safety and wellness of others.
Thank you very much, Ms. Aaron. There is a legal background here as well that has to be considered.
And I might just draw your attention to maybe the first answer to a question I believe that Ms. Lawson Mohammed posed to Mr. Memoli, which is, where does the authority rest in our schools for instruction as well as safety and discipline in particular? And it does rest with the building principal. And I think one of the conversations we're all having while trying to be very respectful of the privacy of all of our students and their families, particularly when they are in a time of crisis, is that that judgment will rest with the building principal because he or she is responsible for all of the students in the building.
Thank you very much, Ms. Aaron. I note that in regard to the question and all of our efforts to grapple with it, this is exactly the kind of difficult issue that in many circumstances is faced. There are children who have, whether it's because of behavioral issues or serious disabilities and disabilities of various kinds, the need for out-of-district placement. That is a very significant educational, fiscal, legal, and yes, moral issue for this district and this community. So yes, there are systems in place, and yes, we understand the concern. Okay, thank you. Okay, I believe it's over to this side.
Good evening. First, I want to say hello to the panel and apologize for leaving after I see because I'm taking an online course and it's harder than I thought. I'm Mike Marjorie.
He's great.
Oh, Mike.
Good to see you.
I think this is a statement of support. And my concern for coming here is that we are very, as a community, we are very reactive. And we react when things happen. But I have support of the principals who have been proactive. I would definitely share as a youth student at First Baptist Church of South Orange, I came over with concern months ago. And I said, I want to get a program here at the there, and we called it Hands Up, Don't Shoot. And she supported it, announced it on the theater system every morning, and fired up around the school. And it was information sharing. And at that forum, we had prosecutors who live in the community, public defenders who live in the community, and the YB started from down. And we have to discuss these type of issues because we're not going to it, and this is a national problem going on. And so my concern is as we move forward is that, as I sent her an email, I don't know if it's working on this, but I'm going to work with her through the summer and next year to get into the school, sharing information that these mistakes occur so we're not reacting, but we're proactive as a community and prepared for these things happen. I'm just using the question of how we can share that question. And with a sidebar, I am the residency inspector for the town now, and I see some people here whose door I knocked on that corporate system. So we are checking on.
Thank you very much, Officer Morrison. Thank you also for your work with our students over the years and your work as a residency officer now. Much appreciated. Okay, over here.
Hello, my name is Samantha Brennan. I'm a parent of 3 children in the district, 2 elementary, 1 high school. I'm also a professor of public health and think that we are really engaging in public health issue. And I want to highlight a few of the points that I think were made that were so important. First being that these problems are not unique to South Orange. These are United States problems. The only shame and reputation damage I think that we face is if we fail to use the